I have to admit, when I first saw the sources for today, I thought maybe there was a mistake.
Oh, yeah.
Well, on one hand, we've got this 2025 paper on, of all things, the bacteria in your mouth. Then over here, you have these, super dense theoretical physics debates on the fabric of space-time.
And right in the middle, a proposal for a spaceship that looks like some kind of futuristic seed pod.
Exactly. It seems totally random.
It does, doesn't it? But that's what's so cool about this deep dive. We're not looking at three separate stories. It's really one story, just evolving across three completely different scales.
The scale of a cell, the scale of the entire universe, and then the scale of human engineering.
And the thread tying it all together is this big shift. We're moving from what you could call quantum 1.0.
Which is all about just observing these weird effects in, like, super-cooled, isolated labs.
Right. To quantum 2.0, we're moving from observing to actually engineering, and doing it in environments that quantum mechanics should absolutely hate.
Environments that are, and I'm quoting here, warm, wet, and noisy.
Which is, I mean, the perfect description of biology.
It's the definition of my mouth, basically. Yeah. And that's where I want to start, with this Hemish-Mysore paper on the oral bionetwork. Because we're always told that quantum states, superposition, entanglement, they're incredibly fragile.
Yeah, the classic line is you look at it wrong and the whole thing collapses.
Right. So how on earth are bacteria, in what is basically a chaotic hot soup of chemistry, holding on to these states?
That is the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Well,
for the longest time, the assumption was that biology is just too messy for any of this to matter. But the Mysore paper and that amazing UCL report on photosynthesis, they flip the script.
okay, how?
They argue biology isn't just, putting up with the noise. It has evolved specific structures to protect the quantum quiet.
So nature basically invented its own noise-canceling headphones.
That's a great way to put it, yeah. I mean, look at photosynthesis. That UCL report gets right into how a leaf captures sunlight. A photon hits the leaf, and it creates something called an exciton.
Which is just a packet of energy, right?
Exactly. Now, in our normal classical world, you'd expect that energy packet to just bounce around randomly, like a pinball, hoping it hits the reaction center where it can be turned into food.
Which sounds terribly inefficient. You'd lose so much energy as heat before it ever got there.
And you would. But what we see is that plants are operating at nearly 100% quantum efficiency. The excitant isn't bouncing, it's entering a state of superposition.
So it's exploring every possible path to the reaction center at the exact same time.
It's taking all the paths at once. It's the ultimate shortcut. And the UCL team found the smoking gun for this. They found something in their data called negative joint probability.
I saw that. I know we try to skip the heavy math, but that felt important.
It's huge.
Okay.
Think of it this way. In our world, probabilities are always positive. 50% chance of rain, 0% chance. You can't have a negative chance of something happening.
Right. That makes no sense.
But in the quantum world, you can. These negative values pop up during interference. And when the researchers saw them in the energy flow, it was definitive proof that this system is non-classical. It's quantum.
Wow. So plants are basically quantum computers. But let's get back to the mouth. The Mysore paper calls it a complex quantum thermodynamic bionetwork.
Which is a very, very fancy way of saying spit.
A very sophisticated kind of spit. And the key idea is that these biofilms, the gunk on your teeth, are dissipative structures.
I remember this concept. It's like a whirlpool, right? It looks stable, but it only exists because water is constantly flowing through it. Stop the flow, and the structure disappears.
That's a perfect analogy. Living things are these little whirlpools of order in a universe that's always moving towards chaos. And to stay organized, they have to constantly pull in energy and dump out disorder or entropy.
And Mysore's argument is that to do this fast enough to stay alive, bacteria have evolved these quantum shortcuts.
Which brings us to tryptophan. The paper mentions single photon superradiance in these protein fibers. Tryptophan is an amino acid, but here it's acting like, what, a tiny antenna?
A synchronized antenna, yeah. Superradiance is when a whole group of molecules acts as one, interacting with energy way faster and stronger than any single one could alone. The paper suggests these networks let information travel at picosecond scales.
Picoseconds. That's trillionths of a second.
It's billions of times faster than normal chemical signaling, which is just molecules physically bumping into each other. They're using a sort of quantum internet to coordinate.
And tunneling, too. Protons and electrons just walking through walls.
Absolutely essential. Without tunneling, basic cellular respiration would be too slow to sustain life. So the big takeaway here is that biology has been a master quantum engineer for billions of years. It uses structure to tame that warm, wet, and noisy world.
And that sets the stage perfectly for our next section. Because if we want to engineer like nature, we have to understand the medium we're working with, space-time itself.
Right. And here we leave the wet lab and head for the dusty chalkboards of theoretical physics.
And we've got this Quantum Magazine article that details what it calls a theoretical war. You've got string theory on one side and loop quantum gravity, or LQG, on the other.
Oh, yeah. It's been a bitter divide for decades. String theory says everything is made of tiny, vibrating strings, and space-time is this smooth, continuous fabric.
And loop quantum gravity says, hang on, if you zoom in far enough.
It's not smooth at all. It's chunky. It's made of discrete little nodes and links, like a kind of chainmail.
And for years, these two ideas just could not be reconciled. But the article says there's a truce now, and it was all because of black holes.
Black holes are the ultimate stress test for any theory of gravity, and both theories broke when they tried to explain the firewall paradox.
Right, the idea that you'd either float gently past the event horizon, like Einstein said, or get incinerated by a wall of fire like quantum mechanics seem to suggest. You can't have both.
You can't. They broke. So to try and fix it, physicists started looking harder at something called the ADS-CFT correspondence. It's a bit of a mouthful.
A holographic principle, right? The soup can analogy.
The soup can, exactly. The idea that everything happening inside the 3D volume of the soup can be perfectly described by the 2D label on the outside.
A 3D world projected from 2D data.
Precisely. And here's the twist. When the string theorists tried to figure out how 3D space could emerge from that 2D label, the math they ended up using looked an awful lot like the networks from loop quantum gravity.
So they basically reinvented their rival's theory by accident.
Or maybe they realized that LQG wasn't a rival theory, but a method, a set of tools they needed. There's a quote in there from Herman Verlinde, who's a huge string theorist, saying exactly that. It's this big admission that, at its most fundamental level, space is a network of information.
And that matters for our deep dive, because if space is a network, if it has a structure,
you can grab onto it, you can twist it. If it was just a smooth, empty void, there's nothing to grip. But a network you can manipulate. And that finally brings us to the torsion leaf.
this thing. The image is just, it's wild. It's so organic. It's shimmering, shaped like a teardrop. And the sources, these technical papers from Northey, it feels like they're literally just copying the homework from the bacteria we were just talking about.
It's the ultimate synthesis, isn't it? It's an attempt to build a spacecraft that moves by directly manipulating the quantum vacuum, using the same tricks nature discovered for photosynthesis.
Okay, let's look at the skin. It's an active layer, only a micron thick, and the ingredients.
Yeah?
You've got lipid bilayers and porphyrins.
The exact same molecules plants use to capture light.
And iron oxide nanoparticles.
Which you find in magnetotactic bacteria, the ones that navigate using the Earth's magnetic field.
So they're not just using, I don't know, space-age polymers.
Yeah.
They're using the building blocks of life itself.
Yeah.
But here's where I get a little skeptical. The propulsion system. It doesn't have an engine. It says it uses geometric buoyancy.
That's a beautiful term.
It's very poetic, but how do you move a ship without pushing against something?
You fall.
You fall.
Well, think about gravity. A planet curves the space-time around it, creating a slope. And things fall down that slope. You're not being pushed, you're just following the curve of the universe.
Okay, I'm with you so far.
The torsion leaf tries to create its own tiny, localized slope. It uses that active skin to create a gradient in quantum spin, highly organized at the nose, less organized at the tail. This generates what's called a Bohm torsion potential.
It makes a hill in space-time.
It makes a hill right in front of it, a repulsive one. So forward becomes energetically downhill. The ship is constantly falling forward along a slope it creates itself.
Okay, wait. But if you're twisting space around the ship, wouldn't that tear the ship apart? You'd have immense tidal forces.
That is the #1 engineering challenge. There's an entire addendum paper on this tearing apart problem. If the torsion field is jagged or has sharp spikes, yes, it would absolutely shred the hull.
It'd be like trying to drive a car when the front wheels are on the ceiling and the back wheels are on the floor.
Exactly. So to solve this, they came up with the shimmer warp.
Which sounds like an upgrade you'd buy in a video game.
It really does. But it's this incredibly clever dynamic smoothing system. They use green LED light at a very specific frequency to pulse the entanglement across the skin.
So instead of one static, jagged twist, it becomes a smooth, rolling wave.
It's like active noise cancellation for gravity. It smooths out the spikes in the vacuum energy, ensuring the force is distributed evenly across the whole craft.
And they pair that with shark skin riblets on the hull.
Biomimicry again. Shark skin has these tiny scales that guide water flow to reduce turbulence. The torsion leaf uses microscopic riblets to guide the flow of the torsion field itself, to prevent what they call quantum turbulence.
It's just amazing. But what about the people inside? If this thing takes off, if it falls uphill at, say, 10 Gs, am I pancake on the back wall?
And this is the most mind-bending part. No, you would feel absolutely nothing.
How is that possible? 10 Gs is 10 Gs.
In a rocket, the engine pushes the ship and the ship pushes you. That's the G-force. But this field is volume filling. It acts on every single atom of the ship and every single atom of your body all at the same time equally.
So my stomach accelerates at the exact same rate as my spine.
And the chair you're in and the air you're breathing, it's the escalator analogy. You step on, the whole staircase moves together. You don't get thrown backwards. You could be accelerating at 100 Gs and you just be floating there, weightless.
That changes everything about space travel. But is this real? I see Phase 8 testing 2026. That's basically now.
Well, they're not building the Starship just yet. They're building the test rig. Phase A is all about neutron interferometry.
Using neutrons to test it.
Right. Neutrons have spin, so they're sensitive to these geometric twists. The plan is just to pass a beam of neutrons past a tiny patch of this active skin and see if the beam's phase shifts.
They're just looking for a tiny ripple.
A tiny microscopic ripple. But if they see that shift, it proves the principle works. It proves the geometric slope is real, and from there, it's just an engineering problem.
Just engineering. I feel like that phrase is doing a lot of heavy lifting there. But to zoom out, we started with bacteria in our teeth using quantum mechanics to live.
Moved to string theorists, realizing space itself is a quantum network.
And we ended with a spaceship that mimics a leaf to surf that very network. It really does feel like we're moving from being masters of nature to students. We're finally learning from it.
Nature had a 4-billion-year head start on research and development. It solved the warm, wet, and noisy problem because it had to. The torsion leaf is just us, finally, being humble enough to take notes.
And it leaves me with this, I don't know, this really provocative thought. If a leaf is doing quantum computing to make food, if bacteria are tunneling, what's happening inside our bodies?
That's the next frontier, isn't it? The Mysore paper even hints at things like quantum immunology. Is your immune system using entanglement to spot a virus instantly?
Is the human brain? Is consciousness itself some kind of room temperature quantum computer?
We might find out that all the things we call magic or life are just quantum engineering that we haven't learned how to read yet.
Well, on that note, I think I'm going to go brush my teeth with a whole new level of respect for what's going on in there.
Just try not to think about spaceships while you're flossing.
I'll try my best. Thanks for taking this dive with us. It has been a wild one.
Always a pleasure.
And to you listening, keep learning, stay curious, and remember, the impossible might just be hiding in plain sight. We'll catch you on the next deep dive.